And then on the 10th, we have Founder Jackson. On the 11th, Nico Klein. On the 17th, Arthur Order. On the 18th, Zoe Cannon. The 23rd, Kenny Calix. On the 24th, Dave Bradshaw. On the 25th, Kylie Devon. And on October 3rd, I believe that's correct, we have Mick Vanula. So a already September already looking up, already looking like a hot month for Wrestling Lit. So definitely check those out when you can. Right, I think we're done putting ourselves over now.
We're never done putting ourselves over.
Well, it was not a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news, and one of the biggest pieces of news to come out this week, and that's saying a lot, is that Psycho Sid Justice Vicious, however you wanted to call him, has unfortunately passed away. It did kind of seem out of nowhere, kind of sudden. Didn't necessarily have no really warning, honestly, which just kind of sucks because Sid was one of those big guys that definitely right place, right time, I would say, when it comes to Psycho Sid. No?
Unless you're Arn Anderson.
Huh?
Unless you're Arn Anderson.
Yeah, that's correct. But yeah, Sid wrestled for NWA, was a part of the Four Horsemen, wrestled with WWE, main evented WrestleMania 8 with Hulk Hogan. Um, he had an impromptu shaving on Raw that one time on the barber shop, if you remember that. Um, Came back to WCW, went back to WWE, just in time to win the WWE Championship from Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series 96. Dropped it to Michaels in Royal Rumble 97. All for Michaels to lose his smile. Bret Hart won the title at Fatal Four Way.
Final Four.
Final Four. All for Sid to win the championship the next night, becoming a two-time WWE champion, all to lose the championship in the main event of WrestleMania 13 to The Undertaker that year. So a wild career. A lot of people would probably remember the WCW match, the famous leg break clip. Um, you could say a lot about Sid, but you can't say that he wasn't uninteresting. No.
No, very, very, very interesting man. We didn't even talk about the time he actually started in Memphis.
That's right.
Working with Jerry Lawler and Nick Bockwinkel out of CCW, and took took his gimmick from Mad Max as Lord Humongous. He would, and this is a weird and wild tale. In kayfabe, early 1988, Sid becomes a fan favorite and rekindles a kayfabe childhood friendship with Shane Douglas, resulting in the forming a team and becoming NWA Southeastern Tag Team Champions.
Um,
Yeah.
he was also in arguably the greatest wrestling movie ever made, Ready to Rumble.
He has a
uh,
goon.
yes, and
He got beat by Martin Lay.
he was actually in a horror movie, River of Darkness. Um, yeah, and he's
He did spend time in Japan.
yeah,
Uh,
for New Japan, I believe.
yep, he had one chance at the IWGP title against Tatsumi Fujinami under the name Vicious Warrior. Uh, and then he stopped over for a very brief cup of coffee in World Class. And that's where he took the name Sid Vicious because of the Sex Pistols.
Hmm, interesting.
And then, of course, the Skyscrapers. Uh, that's his first on screen victory, ironically enough, was against Dwayne Bruce, aka the Sarge.
Like you said, his name, Lord Humongous, Sid Udi, which is his given name. Uh,
Sid Udy, yeah. Udy!
Sid Justice, Sid Steel, Sid Vicious, Vicious Warrior, Sid Cyclops, and Psycho
Uh,
Sid.
it's, since it's got the PE, I'm presuming it's Cyclope. Like that terrible luchador.
Maybe?
Um,
Keep in mind, I don't remember that.
uh, his uh, Sid did ever make a brief appearance on during one or two episodes of Big Brother, in which his son Frank competed on. I had the privilege of uh, interviewing him, his son Frank, as part of Exit Press, which means Frank did not win either of his appearances. Um, but yeah, Sid Sid was a big teddy bear to everybody else, and one hell of a softball player.
Correct. His last WWE appearance was June 25th, 2012.
Against
Well,
Heath, yeah, joining everybody in the ring to beat the shit out of Heath Slater.
yeah. It was his last appearance. He powerbombed Heat, and all the legends celebrated. Um, which is honestly, it was an awesome moment to see that when it happened, cause we hadn't seen Sid in like forever. I don't. I think since 96, if 97, if you're a WWE fan.
You know, it's funny. One time I had access to one of those sites that gives you anybody's phone number, like literally, if it hasn't been hidden. And during in this period, I just tried a bunch of pro wrestlers to see what would come up, and Sid's number was one that I got, and I heard his voicemail or answering machine message, and that scared the crap out of me. When when I was younger, and the WCW hotline existed, I got in so much trouble for calling the 900 number hotline because I was so convinced they had the thing where you could wrestle in air quotes against any of WCW certain, and Sid was one of the choices, and I always picked Sid, and I never won. I wonder why.
um,
And then he taunted you after you lost, like, you want a rematch? All you gotta do is pick up the phone and call me again. Like,
Interestingly enough, Sid was born December 16th, the same birthday as Brody Lee. And He was and this is an accomplishment in itself when it comes to the world of pro wrestling. He was married uh, to the same person since 1983. As you mentioned, he has a son. He has two children, and he only died at age 63, which
Yeah.
really sucks. We've been talking about Alpha and Sinka, um, well into their 70s. Full life, full career. I feel like we could have got a little bit more time with Sid. Um, even a couple months ago, he did a rare interview where he said he felt like there was a good chance of him getting into the WWE Hall of Fame now that Vince McMahon wasn't there.
That,
Uh,
that, that, that sounds incredibly ominous to me.
it it sucks, but do you
Because
see? Can
I
you
don't I
see?
don't mean
Yeah,
I don't mean to be calm or anything like that, but that almost sounds like he's saying, well, I don't have much time left. Looks like I'll have a better chance of getting in.
well, it was alluding to Vince McMahon not being there anymore, but
Mm, yeah, no, it's 50% of it. I think 50% is knowing he was on borrowed time.
quite possibly. Do you see Sid getting an induction nod this year?
I mean, he's needed it for a while. I mean, look how long it took Vader.
That's right.
Uh, I have I think it's Sid's time. Regardless of if he was uh, alive or dead, I would still be lobbying for him to to be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree, 100%. Definitely, our thoughts and prayers go out to the friends and family. Um, you did good, Sid. You can rest easy. I'm sure you're playing softball in the sky as we speak.
And don't worry, they're not live up there.
Speaking of live, Raw was live last Monday as the main event went on. Uncle Howdy made his in-ring debut. I have thoughts about it, but I was genuinely curious how you felt about the match and Uncle Howdy's aura.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. Uh, it was it was the right amount. It was the right time to do it instead of it just being a throwaway. It's done to get the maximum of effect of what it's set up to do. Let us not forget this was Bo Dallas's first match on Raw in almost over 5 years,
It's his first match in 5 years in general.
and he didn't look like he missed a step. I mean, dancing around with Chad Gable's limp body. I could have sworn we were watching Kurt Angle versus not Kurt Angle.
John Cena and Bray Wyatt?
No, because Chad Gable is that American, and it's got the same amount of letters in his name, and I don't know. I just kept thinking Kurt Angle.
Hmm.
But it was, we knew it was going to end up with some sort of clusterfuck. We
Of
just
course.
didn't know if it was going to be a clusterfuck to end the match. Eventually, it did. And, I mean, that theme, that theme, it slaps.
That was
Eh,
Bray's theme before he
No,
passed.
no, they've changed. No, just no. The hardcore theme version. What? No, no. This was new. This was Uncle Howdy's music.
Okay. Well, I I did like it, but I felt first and foremost, let's talk about the entrance. I feel like Howdy rushed down to the ring. And I can understand, adrenaline was pumping. But when Bray came down to the ring, you watched Bray Wyatt come down to that ring. There was that aura and that presence. And I kind of feel like Howdy kind of just rushed the entrance when he sort of really, soaked it all in, if I'm being honest. The match itself was pretty good, I will say. I would have liked things to maybe go a little bit slower and have those little Bray nuances that he added sprinkled into the match rather than just do everything at the beginning and the end, if that makes sense. Um, I was genuinely surprised that the match ended with no hitch because usually, Wyatt matches, there was it kind of leaves you with a question mark on your head. So that was actually pretty good. And I just appreciated that it was just a straight match as well. I like Bo Dallas. I like him as Uncle Howdy. But I feel like he's trying to emulate Bray Wyatt too much rather than kind of be his own person inside the mask. Does that make sense? You get what
See,
I mean?
here's the thing. When they were first playing around with the idea of Uncle Howdy, there was not going to be any mention of it being Bo Dallas
Right.
when he and Bray were in the ring together. And now there's no hesitation in them admitting who Uncle Howdy is.
Right.
They fully embrace that Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas. That his brother made such an impact on into his life that it resurrected his career.
Right. So I feel like he's trying to emulate Bray a little too much. Just my opinion.
See, I think he's
But
doing it just enough where it's, I didn't get tired of, these, potentially some of the, it wasn't the same old spots.
right. But, I do realize that at some point, it is going to splinter off where he is going to make the character and this version of the Wyatts his own. So I completely understand all of that. But answer me this, Scooter. So Bray Wyatt was no better than when he was the villain. We could all agree with that, right? he played a great villain.
Yes.
How do you make the Wyatt Six and Uncle Howdy villains?
You can't.
Because there's they're exactly what you said. You can
Well,
because the
who said
people.
they were supposed to be healed?
But I feel like you're kind of doing them disservices by having them faces. You know what I mean?
Like this whole idea of how Bray's characters have taken a life of their own is, you know, that's a Hollywood quality story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's not just, you know, Bo Dallas, you know, Dexter Loomis, Joe Gacy, Nick Cross, and Eric Rowan. Uh, it, it's it's happening in a way where it's not creepy.
What are you talking about? The first night they murdered Chad Gable.
Well, I'm talking about their action in the ring.
Oh,
Like
the actual
like
matches.
yeah, where it's not creepy. It's now amazing to watch because there is enough. I honestly think there's enough of Bo in there to say he's not emulating Bray 100%.
Right. Well, I just kind of feel like they'd be doing. I mean, as heelless as the original Wyatt family was, the people absolutely loved them, but they were still going up against baby faces. I kind of feel like you do them the White Six disservice by not tapping into that full potential of making them heels. Even though you would kind of expect the crowd to follow them when they're heels as well. No?
Here's what I think they're going for. That they're looking to establish that the Wyatt Six exist on a plane where there's no such thing as a face or a heel.
Well, speaking of face or heel, whatever you want to call him, Isaiah Swerve Strickland signed a new deal with AEW. Um, he's getting a big check now. Um, what I'm hearing, if you believe rumor and innuendo, it's on par with what Okada and Mercedes is getting. Um, and it's until the ending of 2029, I believe. What are your thoughts on Swerve re-signing with AEW rather than going back to WWE? Because um there was interest in from WWE to bring Swerve with Nana.
Yeah, except then Carmelo Hayes is out of a job,
You know,
and then we get Carmelo Hayes at AEW, and we're right back to where we started. Um, I I can't see any promotion offering sort of a 5-year deal. Like that's insane.
oh, well, we'll
That,
talk about that in a moment, for sure.
no, like it's not even that. I can't see anyone really. signing a 5-year deal these days.
What would be the reasoning for that?
The world of pro wrestling outside of the AEW bubble is expanding. It's expanding to include everything that is not AEW.
Okay.
The WWE is finally at a point where they are working with everything. By the way, spoiler alert, if you watched Emergence last night, JBL on TNA.
That's right.
So it a 5-year deal, especially for somebody like Swerve, who recently, only just recently proved he can hang at the top of the card. But he hasn't been there for quite that long.
He's been there for maybe 3, 4 years.
Has he been in the main event scene for 3 or 4 years?
No, he started teaming with Keith Lee at the beginning of his AEW career. That
Yeah.
was 3 years ago.
Yeah, and Keith Lee hadn't gotten injured.
Right.
So it just seems odd to me, out of all the people, that Swerve would get that kind of deal. You expect somebody like Darby Allin to get that deal.
Because Darby is an original.
Because Darby, I really think, looks at every match and goes, okay, how can I try to kill myself in the ring and not die?
I mean, honestly, I don't think you need to entice Darby Allin with money. I think you just throw a tuna sandwich at him and he's happy. So I mean, like free labor, honestly.
Fine, here's your sandwich, Darby. Yay, tuna. Aw, egg salad.
Why would they give him an egg salad sandwich?
Because they weren't listening.
That's just bad catering on their part.
You know what? A tuna sandwich clause in the contract. I wonder what ridiculous clauses Swerve has in this 5-year deal.
Whenever they have to drive him to the arena, and they can only swerve when they drive him.
And if he ever goes to Tony Khan's house and he says, whose house? And somebody says Swerve's house, that house legally becomes Swerve's.
Hip replacement for Nana when he blows out one of his hips dancing too strongly or energetically. Yeah. Do you think that Swerve did this because he genuinely likes being in AEW, or do you think that he did this because he's getting paid a lot of fucking money? And if I'm being completely honest, I don't see him getting back to the World Championship picture. I think he's going to be spending a lot of time in catering with Darby, eating tuna sandwiches.
Okay. To quote one of my favorite movies, he's not doing it for the money. He's doing it for a shitload of money.
Well, yeah. So, do you agree with that, or would you say that, he's in it for the game and the love of the sport?
I think Swerve knows an opportunity when he sees it.
And a sucker as well.
Not to bite the hand that feeds him. So, he's probably thinking, you know what? I'll take that 5 years of security.
You know what? Yeah, you're right.
But it's got to be chicken of the sea.
And then
Can't be
all of
no
a sudden,
chick.
he gets managed by Paulo Del Mar.
And it can't be no tuna of the dirt.
Um, Now, a lot of the people, especially in WWE, are kind of speculating that, Swerve's a good wrestler, 100%. He's definitely proved his worth in the last, year or so. Not necessarily worth the money that Tony Khan is dishing out for him. And
Hey, you know what? There's gonna people. AEW's gonna make a ton of money in hepatitis vaccines.
well, what I'm kind of alluding is WWE was people in WWE were saying that Tony Khan is ruining the business by offering these really big lucrative contracts for people that don't aren't necessarily worth those big lucrative contracts.
It's you wonder if you wonder how much psychology is a factor in that, because if you give someone who fans normally don't associate a big deal with, and all of a sudden that talent starts improving, like it's I hate to say it, but it has the potential to change the foundation of how pro wrestling is approached from a financial talent perspective.
Well, it's not a bad thing that talent is getting paid a lot of money, but it does feel like they're doing it just to keep them where they are rather than go somewhere else. And even at this point, unless you're like Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns, you're not gonna get that type of money anywhere else.
Well,
It kind of
yeah,
financially ruins you to some degree. No?
uh, well, see, there was a mix-up. Um, see that 5-year deal was actually he was supposed to go to Ricochet. Uh, somebody switched the names on the contracts. I'm looking at you, Samantha Irving.
No, WWE being WWE. Do you see that them saying that they would maybe be interested in this one particular wrestler from AEW just to see if Tony Khan would up the money for that wrestler? You know what I mean? Your pick.
Well, we know that some talent has tried that.
I mean, it's not out of the realm
Um,
of possibilities. Like, make the billionaire pay a fuckload a lot more money for no reason to keep gravity on his show.
like what is this? Is this Storage Wars where we're just trying to annoy the fuck out of people by getting them to spend more of the money?
That's exactly what this is.
It's like an auction.
Pro Wrestling Auction, a new TV show coming this September. Um, all the big companies will be.
Finally,
What?
we could buy that fella that we see on TV every week. Ah, the guy with the bald head and the big muscles, and the tan, Baron Corbin.
Ugh. I don't think there'd be any bidding war for Baron Corbin at this point.
In fact, no, it would be an anti-auction. It'd be like, oh, we'll give you $5 million to take him. We'll give you $6 million to take him.
You know, despite being a not that great of a wrestler, he's not a bad bowler. You know, I wouldn't necessarily hate it if Baron Corbin went to the world of professional bowling.
The PDA?
Yeah.
The Professional Bowlers Association.
I mean, nobody's gonna mess with him because he was a former pro wrestler. So.
I mean, Monday night 7-10 split. Next week. It's a spin pin challenge.
A 3-pin challenge?
I don't fucking know. You can't translate gimmicks into bowling matches very well.
Says who? Trying to find Swerve's heel.
Try bowling inside a steel cage.
I mean, wasn't there a match where they used a bowling ball?
Yes. Yeah. Al Snow used to use the bowling ball all the time.
That's right.
That was one of his spots. Bowled up to the crotch. And I think at some point, I think it was Booker and Austin ended up in a bowling alley, like at some point after the supermarket brawl. I know somebody ended up in a.
I don't remember that. Hold on, I am getting the exact quote of what WWE said. Okay, WWE interest in Swerve and Prince Nana act. However, there is reportedly a belief from people within WWE that the AEW president Tony Khan's offers are bad for the sport, as he is keep names such as Swerve and Daniel Garcia. Your thoughts on that comment? That sentence.
That's not bad for the sport. That's bad for his pocketbook. Like, you know, if they really think this is going to be inspire, mid-carders to be like, well, we want what we think we're worth. You know what you know what they'll say? They'll say, all right, go find somebody who will give you what you think you're worth.
And then nobody would hire them because they're not actually worth that. It's just exactly what Tony Khan is willing to pay them.
Exactly. So it's not a industry issue. It's a Tony Khan issue. If there was a union, things would be different.
That's a whole other debate for another time, but I just feel like if you're in AEW right now and you get an offer from WWE and you take that offer, it speaks volumes on your character and where you want to be in your career, rather than the guys that are kind of maybe being complacent staying in AEW, because you're only wrestling like 8 matches a year, and you're sitting home the rest of the time making 5 to 6 figures.
Hey, I'd rather be rich and sitting at home doing nothing than trying to scrape up coins from the seat between my car, to get something from the dollar menu and be in constant pain.
I get that. This tells you what people's priorities are. Speaking of priorities, John Moxley has returned to pro wrestling, or to AEW at least. He came out bald and to his Death Rider theme. Obviously, Tony didn't renew the Wild Thing theme for him.
Thank God. Thank God.
Um, did you see the segment, Scooter?
I didn't even realize he had come back. And I didn't watch All In. I barely read the results and the summary, and I still don't remember seeing John Moxley's name anywhere.
Well, it's gonna be great considering that we're reviewing All In like 10 minutes.
Well, give me a chip.
So John Moxley came out. He did an interview with one of the other Tonys. Take your pick. Um, and he said something on the lines of "This isn't your business anymore," which made people speculate that he's now an agent for Shane McMahon um, to take over AEW.
The fuck?
Yeah. Would you like to know where the exact quote and where this new version of John Moxley comes from?
Sure.
This new version of John Moxley comes from an Australian movie called Romper Stomper,
Oh, God.
in which Russell Crowe plays, and I'm not making this up. This is not, this is actually fact. Russell Crowe plays a neo-Nazi.
Yep,
And
I know what Romper Stomper is. Yep.
well, just for the people that don't know, um, and John Moxley is ultimately playing Russell Crowe in Romper Stomper now that he is back in AEW.
Awesome. One more reason not to watch him.
So we are now.
I'm sure MJF is gonna love that.
I was gonna. Yeah, yeah. Neo-Nazi Moxley. Neo Moxley. No, that's no.
When and his new catchphrase is gonna be "Go fly a kite."
Oh. And I know what the conversation was. Tony Khan calls up Moxley. "Hey there, buddy. Did you watch All In? It was a great show. It broke records. There was 50 million people there. It was so great. You should have been there. But I understand you wanted some time off. But are you gonna come back soon?" And he was like, "Yeah, boss. Gonna come back." "Okay, great. I had this idea. I was watching this movie last night. Renee made me a two-fish sandwich, and I was watching Romper Stomper. What do you think if I came back and I played that part on TV? That would be great. I would love that. That would be awesome. Why don't and then we'll have a match at what's the next one? The stadium show, the one of our fucking paid previews.
Wrestle Dream.
The stadium show in New York.
Right, that's gotta be. Oh, Grand Slam.
Great. That'd be great. We'll do the match at Grand Slam, and it'll be a great match. It'll be the best match we ever had in AEW. Great. See you on Wednesday.
And if you're not down with that, give me a sig heil, yeah.
So, do you think there's going to be any repercussions for neo-Nazi Moxley?
God, I hope so. I hope he gets. I hope he gets beaten down by a bunch of rabid, rabbinic students.
Well,
Like, take this, you motherfucker, you verkachte asshole. Your mother was a hamster.
speaking of mothers being hamsters, Vince McMahon. Um, they announced on Netflix a new documentary series chronicling Vince McMahon, his entire, I think it's his entire life and career. Um, doesn't necessarily seem like it was what they did on the Vice special. Um, but I do kind of wonder why they would do something like this documentary. Consider it's coming out in September as well. Why would they do this when WWE is going to be on their network in a matter of a couple of months? Scooter?
I, yeah, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I do know that a part of Vince McMahon will be played by Harvey Weinstein.
Will you stop it? It's not a movie. It's a documentary.
Yeah, and they always have those reenactment clips.
It's not that. It's not a dramatization. Uh, a documentary. It's an actual like legit documentary.
I can't imagine Vince giving anybody permission to film anything in his house.
I don't believe he was a part of the documentary. They just have
Well,
clips from him when
well,
he
then that's
over the years.
then they're gonna need some dramatizations.
I don't think they need a dramatization. I think it. Keep in mind these are the same people that the producers of Tiger King,
They
which
need
is
a lot. They need a lot of grapefruits.
correct. Um, I'm actually somewhat looking forward to it. I think it might actually be a good documentary on Vince.
I'm surprised HBO didn't do it first.
I mean, I believe the documentaries on HBO were produced by WWE. I don't believe this
Yeah,
was produced
yeah,
by WWE.
yes.
It doesn't necessarily look like a hit piece like the Vice documentary was. It does seem like they are looking at everything from every angle rather than he's a monster, he's this, he's that, he never was good, yada yada. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we shall see what that holds. Um, and that brings us to our last bit of news, and that's the WWE Performance Center may be moving to Las Vegas. What are your thoughts on that?
I could see opening up a second performance center, but why does the first one have to move?
That's a good question. You can
Like,
have more than one performance center, right?
yeah, like it makes me think that uh, what the hell do they call them? When a celebrity takes a yeah, oh god.
Endorsement?
No. When they agree to residency, that's it.
Oh, wait.
Um, that makes me think that yeah, uh, one hotel on the strip is going to be you know the permanent home of an NXT residency, meaning the WWE will get paid to to have NXT shows there.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. I mean, we were getting a WWE hotel at one point.
I bet, yeah, after WWE Times Square failed, yeah, no. The hospitality sector is something that WWE is not getting involved with again.
No, I mean a legitimate Las Vegas hotel.
Well, yeah, I know. Maybe if Kathleen Kennedy gets involved, we can actually get that hotel.
Because the force is female. Put a chick in it, make her gay.
You just did so much to the friggin' Star.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of seems like it's unnecessary. They're good in Florida. They're doing good stuff. I feel like having a performance center with, you know, athletes at peak, physical levels.
That's they call that a combine.
Having, athletes at, peak performance level and having them in the city of sin, it kind of feels like that's a recipe for disaster rather than success.
Especially with all the legal hookers and blow. Tony Khan is gonna try and register as a student with a fake mustache and glasses. Like, yes, I'd like to. Where's the nearest brothel and mound of cocaine?
I mean, think of it this way: Matt Riddle would have never made it onto NXT if he was signed just to the Performance Center.
It's like pro wrestling's become a mafia. We're sending you to Las Vegas where we can keep an eye on you. And then at some point, WWE will be bought out by junk bonds.
Well, if it's just a rumor / innuendo, then, that's fine. But I feel like it would, again, it's not necessarily the best idea to. You're doing good things in Florida. You're doing good things where you are. Why change that? Why change the dynamic? Yep.
I don't know if you were gonna go into this, but one person apparently did not watch out for the shoe. That's Mr. Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
Her, I can't believe Arda Sherkovsky arrested for domestic abuse against Nikki Bella, and he quotes, "She threw shoes at me."
It's because she couldn't hold a pussy-scented candle to him.
I think that's what pissed her off. Arda was like, when are you gonna make that candle for me?
I think we should leave it at that.
Oh yeah, that's according to investigators, there was a 911 call from Artem's home. I keep calling him Smirkovsky. He's not a Smirkovsky brother. For a medical emergency, alleged victim had been cooperating with investigators. Potential criminal charges. Artem was dragged away, claiming it was his twin brother.
And that will conclude our coverage of the news. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.